Hi everyone, this is Rainy from DoraHacks. Welcome to our Austin Web3 Hackathon project demos. And we had I think 2 demos before today. And today we're going to continue invite another awesome project for this to present his project to us. So before we started, I'd like to give a little bit of introduction about who is DoraHacks and what we have done in Austin. So DoraHacks is a decentralized global hacker communities and organizer focusing on blockchain developments. We have hosted more than 100 hackathons online and offline for the past 6 years in different countries. And this year, May 16th, we hosted an in-person hackathon in Austin, and we got to meet a lot of great projects and got to know the people behind all these brilliant ideas. So we really think it is worth to show these projects to the people around the globe. So I also would like to remind you to follow our social media channels and don't forget to click like if you like our videos. And also we'll be hosting another hackathon, the US Summer Crypto Hackathon 2021 soon. So please stay tuned on our Twitter at DoraHacks for more updates. So today we are really honored to invite 2 teams from the Austin Hackathons. The first presenter will be Niran from Panvala. So I think I don't want to waste too much of your time. Let me pass the time to Niran for him to introduce his project and to us. Yeah, thank you. So Niran, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Niran Babalala. Thanks again to the DoraHacks team for organizing this and for organizing the Austin Hackathon. It was a really great event. It was kind of our first big event after people started getting vaccinated for coronavirus. So people were actively hanging out again. So it was good to see everybody together. So the project that I work on is called Panvala, and I'll dive into a presentation on what it's all about. This project was founded in mid 2018 and launched on mainnet in August of 2019, and it's been operating on the Ethereum mainnet since then. So to get started, basically, what is Panvala? If you want to think about it in crypto terms, because most of the people participating are probably familiar with what's going on in the crypto ecosystem, you can think of it as a protocol treasury that communities can share. So there's a lot of protocol treasuries out there for different DeFi projects, different projects of all sorts, where they use the treasury that the project controls to fund the development of the project itself. So that's a really neat thing that you can do in the crypto world, and Panvala is like that, but instead of funding a single project, it's designed to be a treasury that many communities can share. We want to share it with as many communities as possible. For people who don't have the context from the crypto world, people who aren't paying attention to what's going on in blockchain all the time, you can think of it in real world terms as a community managed endowment. So this might be a US centric kind of comparison, but bear with me. A lot of the universities in America are funded by endowments. Basically, a very wealthy person gives the university a lot of assets, land, money, etc., and then that's what's used to fund the operations of the university over time. And that endowment is managed by the community of students and alumni who decide what to spend the resources on in terms of research, education, and then student life on campus. A lot of people are familiar with the kind of vibrant student life, the vibrant communities that gather on college campuses, and those are supported by community-managed endowments. And we want any sort of community to be able to tap into that same phenomenon without needing this giant gift from a very wealthy person. We want to be able to build up that kind of endowment from scratch, and that's what Panvala is all about. So when people decide to be part of Panvala, there are really 2 reasons to be part of it. In the near term, the easiest reason to join is that we match donations for our communities. If any community that's bringing in donations, if they join Panvala, they're getting matching from the system's inflation that gives them basically more resources to get things done. So that's really why most communities join in the near term. But in the long run, what we're trying to accomplish is giving communities an economic tool that's on par with corporate equity and national currencies. There's so much activity in our society that's focused on what's going on in corporations and what's going on in political life, because they have the economic tools that really power what's going on there. But community life, we kind of just pool resources to get things done, and that doesn't have the same kind of power behind it as equity or national currencies do. So we think that if we had that kind of economic tool, then we could drive more resources to community life, where people are doing the things they like with the people they like, instead of trying to engage in winner-takes-all politics, where they're trying to all agree on one thing. They can do the thing that they like to do and get subsidies for that. So we're trying to drive more resources to community life, things like arts groups, things like open source projects, charity groups, but even just social clubs. If you have a club where you're just hanging out with the people that you like to hang out with, throwing parties, having a good time, that fits in with what we're trying to do with Panvala, because we want more resources to go to that kind of thing, rather than always having to think about how to make the most profit, or rather than having to think about how to get as much political power as you can. If you just build up your own community and do the things you like with the people you like, that's what we're trying to support with Panvala. So the way that we do it is that we subsidize communities the same exact way that Bitcoin subsidizes its security. When people buy Bitcoin, they know that there's going to be 21 million Bitcoins, and there's not 21 million yet. And every 10 minutes, the system is creating new Bitcoins to reward the miners that are actually making the network operate. So if you hold Bitcoin, thank you for doing that. You're kind of a philanthropist in a strange way. You're holding on to this asset, and you know they're creating more of them, so you're being diluted to fund the operations of the network that we all share. So thank you again, you're a philanthropist. What we're trying to do with Panvala is to generalize that model. We think it's not just for funding blockchain networks. It's not just for funding different crypto-style projects. We think you can use it to fund anything that communities want to do together. So that's what we do in Panvala. Again, there's going to be 100 million Pan tokens someday. There's not 100 million Pan yet. And when people hold on to Pan, they're opting into a system that is promising to dilute them up until that 100 million Pan. And we use that dilution, we use that inflation to subsidize our communities. That's where the donation matching comes from on day one. So that lets us build up this new kind of system from scratch, where we can make sure that communities get more funding for what they're trying to do for their own community, without needing to have funding lined up from day one. We can use the inflation to start the system, and then grow a network of communities that work together to bring in resources over time. So since it's operating from inflation, that's a model that can't work forever, right? We've had quarters where we had 10x matching, 7.5x matching, and last quarter it was 2x matching. But we know that the matching multiplier will fluctuate as the market price of the token fluctuates, but we know that over time it's eventually going to decrease, just like Bitcoin's inflation decreases over time. So in a decade or two, the matching from inflation might not be that high to get people excited. So it can't be matching from inflation forever. Instead, what we're trying to do is build a network of communities that can bring in corporate sponsors, bring in external sources of funding that can flow to the communities that have joined Panvala. So the way to think about this is there's all these companies out there that are taking their marketing budget and they're giving it to Google, they're giving it to Facebook, they're giving it to these tech giants that have these advertising engines where they're going to be able to reach all of their potential customers, because everybody uses something with Google ads on it or something with Facebook ads on it. All their customers are there, so they put their marketing budget there. With Panvala, what we're trying to do is build up a network of communities where all their customers are there, so they can put their marketing budget there as well. but there's no existing structure, there's no existing network of communities where a business can just say, well, I know that if I put some of my marketing budget into the system, that customers will come to me. That's what we're trying to build with Panvala. That's what this new economic tool allows us to bootstrap, because we can start doing it from day one with the inflation of the system. And then as we grow the network of communities, we can go to more and more businesses and say, hey, your customers are here. You should sponsor this system. And that's what's going to make customers come in the door instead of having to give your money to Google, give your money to Facebook. We think it's a more effective marketing model to be able to give funds directly into the budget of the communities that your customers love and get them in the door that way. So that's what we're trying to build up over time. There's currently 57 communities in the Panvala League, and we want to continue adding more. Again, there's 57 communities today. We want there to be thousands of communities sharing Panvala, because at the end of the day, we want every business to be able to say, my customers are there, so I'm going to take my marketing budget and put it there and have that money flow into the budgets of communities rather than flowing into tech giants. That is the goal here. We want to share it with as many communities as possible, and we have 57 today. The general model that allows us to do this is that we allocate the resources that Panvala shares based on ownership and contributions. So in a normal donation matching system, if you're trying to share it with as many communities as possible, it's kind of hard to do, because the more communities you share it with, the less there is for each community to match their donations. But since Panvala is based on ownership, it's the more of Panvala your community owns is the more that matching that you'll get. So each community is basically from what they own, they basically can earn up to that portion of the inflation of the system if they bring in that many donations. So it's based on both the donations that the community brings in and the amount of Panvala they own that allows us to allocate the inflation between different communities. So when a new community joins, it's not a burden. They're becoming owners at the same time that they're becoming beneficiaries of the system. That's what allows us to keep that balance. That's what allows us to grow, and allows us to grow without it being painful, because as there are more beneficiaries, there are more owners as well. So again, we think that this model works. We've been operating it in this model for over a year. We keep on matching donations from the communities that participate in Panvala, and more resources are available to our communities as we do this. We want to continue sharing it with more communities because that both makes our inflation matching stronger. But again, at the end of the day, we're building a network of communities where businesses can be comfortable knowing that if they spend their marketing budget by putting it into the budget of their customers' communities, that they can get customers in the door that way. So the more communities we have, the stronger the sponsorships get. The more communities we have, the stronger the inflation gets as well. So we want you to join us if you're part of a community that runs on donations, that runs on membership dues, that runs on any contributions from a community. We want to support that. We want to match that from Panvala's inflation. And if you are a business that where your customers are already present in the existing 57 communities that are part of Panvala, we want you to sponsor Panvala. And when you sponsor Panvala, we subsidize that as well. It's based on holding Pan rather than just giving your marketing budget out to the communities directly. We're already giving them the inflation. So if you hold on to the Pan tokens, then we allow you to sponsor those communities that way. That's another way that we bootstrap the system, by making it, by giving communities more resources and by making it more cost effective for businesses to sponsor Panvala. That's what allows us to grow both sides of the system at the same time. So we keep on adding more sponsors, keep on adding more communities, and grow the strength of the system over time. So we want to share this with you, and we want to help you sponsor communities. If there's communities that you want to sponsor and you want to have that subsidized by Panvala, we want to make that happen. So if you're already active in sponsoring things, we want to subsidize that and make it more cost effective for you. So that's Panvala, that's what we do. For some quick examples of what's going on here, at panvala.com, you can see the quarterly inflation that's pulled from the blockchain. Again, it's operating on the Bitcoin model where there's a programmatic inflation curve built into the system. So we know that basically 1.64 million PAN are going to be released from the system at the end of July when the next quarter in Panvala's cycle ends. And currently, at current market prices, that's worth about $155,000. And again, that fluctuates over time. One example of a community that started using it last quarter is Blockchain Education Network. They do a lot of their fundraising on Gitcoin, which is a system that we support our communities raising donations through. Their community members donate using the PAN token, and then they're matched from Panvala's inflation using the PAN token. So for the results that they had for this past quarter, you can see that they raised 827 PAN, which is about, let's say about $100 at current market prices. And then they're being matched at 3.5x based on the amount of PAN their community owns. Again, as there are more beneficiaries of Panvala, and Blockchain Education Network was a new beneficiary this past quarter, there's also new owners, and that's what makes it easy for us to share and grow the network of communities over time. As we build up that network, that makes it more and more cost effective for businesses to take their marketing budget and spend it by giving it to communities like this one. So that's Panvala. That's how it works. We want to share it with you. We want you to be a part of it. And we're looking forward to working with you soon.
Thank you, Niran. Let me check if there's any questions from both the committees. Yeah, just give me a minute.
No problem.
I guess there is no question from YouTube here, and as well as I didn't hear any questions from the Chinese community. So may I ask, like, if let's say what is your next plan for it? Like, could you mind to share a little bit?
So we continue growing every quarter. We added 10 communities this quarter to share the system, and we want to continue sharing it with more communities. Again, the system already works, it's already operational. It's less of a, you can think of it less as a software project and more as a community building project. We want to continue to plug more communities into the system to share it with us, show them how to share it with us, and show sponsors how it works as well and how we can make their marketing spending more effective by subsidizing that as well. So it's really just continued growth is the plan. We continue sharing it with more communities. We activate the people within those communities by showing them how they can operate Panvala themselves, because again, it's run by the communities that share it. So we just keep on growing the network that way. So we expect to continue to add more communities, to add more sponsors, and then as the strength of the network grows, we hope that we can drive more resources towards community life in general.
That's good. Sounds great. By the way, I saw that you have like your website and your social medias for people to connect if they're interested to know more and would like to join your community. Do you have like a slide so people can see all together?
So I don't have a slide for that, but I'll share my screen one more time so you can see where you can plug in. So if our Twitter handle is Panvala HQ, so you can follow us on Twitter there. If you go to panvala.com and click on the handbook, that has all the resources that lets you learn more about Panvala, all the details, and especially if you click Stay Informed, it'll show you where you can plug in to keep up with everything that's going on, including following us on Twitter, and especially the Discord server, which is another place you can jump in and ask any questions that you have. If you didn't get to ask them live, you can always ask them on Discord.
Okay. Thank you so much. So guys, if you're interested to know more about Panvala, don't forget the handbook.panvala.com. And they are really great projects. I believe you are like the top winner, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Congratulations again. And we really hope that, we can cooperate in different ways in future. Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.